Many brand new tax sale investors want to focus on the largest markets in a state, and they're oftentimes disappointed when they find out there's too much competition there. So instead, what I suggest is you focus on the smaller to mid-size markets. And I'm going to show you in today's video exactly what I mean by that and the opportunities that are in those markets. Let's go ahead and switch on over to my screen. And right now, you'll see I have Google up, and I've typed in list of Florida counties by population. We're going to click on this first link right here. And has all the counties listed. It starts with Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, Hillsborough, Orange, and Duval, all over 1 million people. A lot of brand new investors want to start investing in those areas, and then there's a point when there's a lot of competition there. And this is both people locally, nationally, and even internationally, because the deal is most people have probably heard of Miami, Orlando, Tampa, Jacksonville, right? They've heard of all those big cities. So when they think of an area, they think of those big cities, and that's immediately where they go to invest. And again, high competition, low margin, not a situation you want to be in. Now, on the flip side of that, you look at counties down here at the very bottom, like Liberty, Lafayette, Franklin, Glades, Calhoun, Hamilton. They all have less than 15 or 16,000 people. In that type of county, number one, they're going to have much fewer tax sales. And when they do have tax sales, it might be just 1 or 2 properties that they're selling. And number two, you have to think about it. Is there really any demand in that area from your buyers? So personally, I like to eliminate, say, the top 1/3 and the bottom 1/3 of any county. Now, I don't go by a specific number or anything like that, but I try to find markets right in the middle. And we'll go down here like number 22, for example. Let's do Escambia County. I'll show you a few examples of properties that are coming up for the sell in Escambia County where you can potentially get deals. Now, we're going to find the Escambia County tax sale list, and it's very difficult. We're just going to type in tax sale list after it. Very, very simple. So right off the bat, you can go to the clerk of court, but we see down here it says realtaxdeed.com. It's actually Real Foreclosed. We've seen this site many times. It's a third-party company that handles the auctions. They provide the auction software. All right, so we got some that happened a few weeks ago. Let's go to the next ones. Click on this. Let's see what we have there. So right off the bat, we see a number of different things. We see assessed value, $165, opening bid, $6,300. Assessed value, $4,100, $89,000. We scroll down, we've got a number of different properties here that look pretty good. Obviously, again, we don't go off the assessed value more so than just to give us a super rough ballpark. We don't actually use that to determine our max bids or anything like that. But it does let us know, hey, the assessor thinks or at one time thought the property was worth $105,000. Opening bid, $6,300. Let's go ahead and let's see if we can find one of these. We'll search, let's see. Let's do this one right here, $6,500. We'll see if the parcel opens for us. In the meantime, we will search the address. This is up in Pensacola. Let's see what we have on Google, and we'll see what we have here. All right, so right off the bat, it looks like an estate property. Probably didn't have any heirs that wanted the property or they didn't pay the taxes. She bought it 2011 for $60,000. Small lot, 75 by 168. Looks like a little house, 1,132 square feet. And yeah, it's got a porch and just a basic little house. Let's see, we got an image right here. There's a house, not too bad actually. Let's see what it looks like. Same house right there. That's from May 2025. Obviously, you can tell there's vines growing on and stuff. Sometimes it's because stuff isn't maintained. It looks like, people live there and don't maintain it. It looks like in this situation, the property is probably abandoned, being that it is an estate property. But just looking at this property here, looking at the neighborhood around it, looks like it's right across the street from a school. That's interesting. That's cool. So yeah, you've got a little duplex right here next to it. And that's the property that we're looking at, right? So let's see if we can find out what the value of this property is. I believe they have a map. Okay, launch interactive map. That should be the GIS, just a fancy term for GIS is the interactive map. Click on that. Let's see if we can find some. There's the property right there. Okay. Find some layers. Let's see. We've got, should be sales history. That's vacant sales. There's improved sales right there. Let's see if there's any improved sales around it from recently. Now, if you're like an appraiser, you probably want to use this stuff within the past 6 months or maybe the past year. Obviously, might have to go back a year or two, depending on the area, depending on what kind of comps you need. but the more recent, the better. Okay. So we got 2025, you got a $90,000 one, 125, 247, 179. Based on the condition of the property, you're probably somewhere around here. This one for like $90,000 might be a good comparable for us. Let's see what that property looked like. If it will pull up for us. All right, let's see what that property looks like. Yeah, $90,000, 1,026 square feet, very similar acreage. Well, yeah, I mean, let's run a comparable on this. All right, so they paid $90,000 for it. Looking at the image, yeah, it looks pretty comparable. This is much brighter, but yeah, it looks pretty comparable. So that property sold for $90,000. And this opening bid is $6,500. Obviously, there's plenty of room there to make quite a bit of money. And there should not be nearly the competition that you would find at like Miami-Dade or something like that. All right, let's clear out this information. We'll find one more in this county before we go on to another county. Here's an interesting one right here, $17,000 opening bid, assessed value $307. Let's see what this is. This is a multi-story office. It's interesting. Let's see what we got here. Let's see if they got a photo for us. Pretty cool property. A store next door. They got a commercial. I'm not going to go into too much detail on this property just because a lot of people don't want to invest in commercial. They don't fully understand it. There's different ways to value it and stuff. But long story short, $17,000 opening bid for $307,000 worth of commercial property. Even if it's worth $200,000, you're still making quite a big chunk of change there. All right, let's do. We'll do one more since that was commercial. Here's one for $383,000. Let's see what this one is for. All right, single family residential, another estate. It's not uncommon to have estate properties. Obviously, people pass away, they don't have heirs, or the heirs just don't want the property, or there's all sorts of things that could happen. So here's a piece of property we're looking at, 4 acres. 2,800 square feet is the base area of the structure, built in 1964. Let's click on this really quick. It's like a nice little place, needs to be cleaned up a little bit. Let's see if we can pull this up on the GIS. So again, we have a that's the one, right? Yeah, mobile. Yep, $17,000, $900 $17,900 opening bid, $383,000 assessed value. Let's see what we can find for comparables on this property. All right, we've got over here, we'll click on improve sales, expand this out. So you got 321 nearby. That's just a short time ago. You got 440, you got a 460, 1.1 doesn't really count for us. It's obviously a much larger piece, but this is a good sized piece. It's 4 acres here. Let's see also if we can let's do this instead. Let's take a vacant. We have no vacant sales around there, at least in the past few years. Sometimes you can value it at vacant land, but nonetheless, we will be valuing it for improved. All right, so you got one that's 321 right nearby. Obviously, that could be a much larger house, much nicer house. We don't know until we click on it, until we find out what's going on here. Let's click on it. It does look like a newer house. I do see a slab right there. Let's see what we got here. All right, they paid $321 in 2022. That's a few years old. 2017 house, 2,000 square feet. So it's a significantly newer property than what we're looking at, but we do have much more land. Nonetheless, at $17,000 opening bid, you're going to make $250,000 easily on this property. Probably closer to $200,000 on this property. Again, we don't know what these properties are going to sell for, but generally speaking, there'll be less competition in a market like this than you would have in a large market like Miami-Dade, Orange, Seminole, Pinellas, those type of counties. All right, let's go on to another county here. Let's see here. Let's go on. Those are getting a little bit big for us. Let's go down here, Hernando County. I believe most of the counties in Florida nowadays are using real foreclosed. We will go back up here, search Hernando County, and see what we got. All right, let's go over. Let's see, auction calendar. It looks like they have some week before Thanksgiving here. Let's see what we got here. We got, okay, so we got, looks like some decent stuff. I'm just scrolling around. We got Ramona Drive. Let's take a look at, we'll do this one first, and we'll go into see if we can find a vacant one. Hernando GIS. See if we can pull that up. And while that's pulling up, we will search this address in Google. Okay, that's not pulling up. Property assessor. Sometimes what you'll notice is the links that they post in Real Foreclosure, wherever else, the computer just didn't input them correctly, so it's not going to pull the information up for us. No big deal. Just got to do it manually, kind of old school method. Let's click here. We'll copy this parcel number. See if we can paste it in here. Do a little search, see what happens, and boom, we have this property right here. Okay. Street level. Okay, so it can't really. There we go. All right, so it looks like this is the property. Let's see if we can find it on here. What I like to do is I kind of like, because obviously you want to match Google Street View with what you see on the property assessor. I like to take notes. I see a large square garage right here, so that's the first thing I'm looking for. And boom, we have a large square garage. Obviously, when this photo was taken, these trees weren't quite as filled out. But I mean, a nice property. It looks like either a stamped or a paver driveway. Some properties nearby. It looks decent. Looks like a metal roof even. So you got a decent little property here. Yeah, it looks like a metal roof. Yeah, so like that's $13,000. We'll see if we can pop over onto GIS really quick to see. These people live in Canada. Again, they might have passed away. They might have just not want to come down here anymore. But yeah, you have a nice little piece of property. Let's see if this GIS map will load for us real quick. And then from there, we'll see if we can figure out the value of this property in Hernando. All right, so again, you want to verify, you kind of triple check everything, right? We're looking here. We got this photo here, this photo right here that shows us this thing. We've got the GIS. Again, we can see the square garage. We can see everything. Kind of all makes sense. And of course, when you go to do the drive-by, you want to match up the address to everything that you see on here as well. Let's zoom out a little bit. Their GIS is kind of a memory hog, if I remember right. Yeah, it operates a little bit slow. So we'll see what properties have been selling here. Let's see if we can pull this information up. Okay, so you got a property here. You got a property here. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 that have sold in 2024. Let's see if we can click on that information to get what's going on with those properties. All right, so we scroll down. This property sold 9 of 2025. Sales price $200,000. Let's take a look at this one. Sales price on this one, $88,500. That's a massive difference. Take a look at this one here. We're scrolling down. 325. Sales price $100. That's an arbitrary figure. That's probably a transfer, interfamily transfer or something along those lines. Click on this one, or maybe a divorce, maybe somebody got their name added to the deed, whatever it is. They use $100 just as a space filler. They didn't actually process a $100 transaction. All right, this one here looks like 2025. Again, $100. Let's see if we can find some more here. So we got pretty low comps so far. We got like a 90 and a 200,000. Let's see what this one is. All right, so on this one, you've got another $100 sales price. Goodness. All right, we'll do one more, and then we will move on to the next one. We got this one way down here in the bottom right that I'm clicking on. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. Click on that one, and let's see. The sales price on this one was $145,000. So, $13,000, you can easily turn it into $100K. It just depends on what it sells for. Obviously, again, when I do these demonstrations, these are very, very brief demonstrations. If you were to bid on this property, you need to drive by the property. You need to check out the comps, all the stuff that we just clicked on. Go look at those houses, that kind of stuff. Make sure it's true comparable properties, and then to establish your figure from there. But it should give you at least an idea of what is out there and kind of what exists. Let's do another county. We'll do. Let's see here. Let's scroll down a little bit. Gilchrist. Let's do Citrus County. I think they're also, I think everybody seems like is on real foreclosure now in Florida. Yep, citrus tax deeds. X'd out there. Oop. I think I clicked a little bit too fast. All right, citrus tax deeds. There we go. Auction calendar. We have some next month. We'll click on that. We'll do one or two here, see what we got. All right, so I was talking about assessed value earlier. You can kind of get a super duper rough idea of whether you want to invest in the property or not based on that. You don't want to value it off that. You don't want to place your bids off that or anything else, because obviously $78,000, that might have been there when the mobile home was there and the mobile home was hauled off, or it would burn down, or it was demolished, or whatever else. So things change. Also, the assessor might have just made a mistake, especially when it comes to vacant land. A lot of times they do group assessments. Nonetheless, when you see a property like this, assessed value $499, that's not something you probably even want to waste your time with, because the assessor says it's worth $500. It's probably an easement, a drainage ditch, something along those lines, right? Same thing here, $1,130. That's a pretty low valuation. Let's see what we got here. We got, let's see, just going through here, Big Buck. Let's look at Big Buck Trail. Alternate key. Let's see if this pulls up. Yes. Okay. So you have Big Buck Trail. Looks like it's a mobile home, perhaps. Let's scroll down. Oh, yeah, mobile home. Residential mobile home built in 1981. Total under roof, 960 square feet. So it's a smaller mobile home. And as you'll notice, these things, all these websites are a little bit different. So just kind of bear with me as I work through them. Photos. Let's see if we have photos of this property. All right, so you got a mobile. It's not the best looking mobile. Looks like an older mobile, maybe a roof over at some point. Looks decent though. I mean, I've seen a lot worse, that's for sure. Any permits? Replaced the AC back in 2013. Now the AC might have been stolen, might have been gone. Nobody knows. Got miscellaneous improvements here, decking, utility buildings, that kind of stuff. Let's see if we can pull this information up on their website. Big Buck Trail. That's what we're looking at. Yeah. Okay. This is pretty cool. All right. So this is interesting. You've got, it has to have waterfront. Let's see if this canal goes anywhere. A lot of times in Florida, a lot of times for any canals, you'll have canals that kind of they're kind of dead ends. It's more or less a marsh or a low spot. This canal actually looks like it keeps flowing. Does it end right there? No, it keeps going. Actually, it goes through here, goes down here, connects to whatever this river is. And it looks like the river's pretty well used. We keep going. Yeah, so this, it's in a river. I guess this is a lake down here. Or we might be close to the ocean. Let's see here. Yeah, so it looks like it goes to a lake. That's pretty cool. Let's go back to the summary real quick, and then I'll click on map just to kind of reset our map so we don't have to worry about finding that again. So obviously, you got a mobile home that's not in the best of condition, an older mobile home, but you do have a lot of value because you are on water here, right? Let's see if we can click on this. And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to value this as vacant land. Perhaps there's a vacant land that has sold nearby. Vacant. Let's do in the past 3 years, maybe. So worst case scenario, you can, clicked on the wrong one. Worst case scenario, you can value it as vacant land and see what the vacant land would be worth if you had to remove the mobile home. All right, so you've got $25,000 right here. Probably both of those sold at the same time. $25,000, $20,000 over here. Anything else? You got a $40,000 right here on the canal. Yeah, so like $40,000 on the canal. Our property is much bigger. So you're at, kind of the floor value is going to be around $40,000. Even say half that, $20,000 at the opening bid of $5,000. You're there, right? That's a pretty solid return. Let's click on okay, unfortunately, this is an old image, but you can still see there's little boathouses and little docks and stuff. So obviously, as you go through here, you know that the river is being used, although I can't see where it goes. Oh, there it goes. There. The river is being used. So you know that it has true lake access, river access, whatever you want to call it. So the true value is there. It's just a matter of, you might have to go down the river to get to the lake or something like that. So obviously there's value in that property, and that would probably be a good one because, they don't make any more real estate, and they're certainly not making any more waterfront real estate. All right. Let's do one more county here, and then we will call it a day. I've got a live Q&A with my Tax Sale HQ members here shortly, so I'm going to wrap this up in a few minutes. All right, Bay, let's look at Bay tax deed sale. All right, let's look at, so here's, okay, so auction. Got a bunch of properties that were redeemed for today's auction. We'll scroll down. We got 3 or 4 next time. Sweet Briar, interesting. 50. Let's look at this one. Check it out. Let's see what we got here. Opening bid of $55.79. Let's see what we got here. Again, this website's a little bit different, so you kind of got to go with it and figure out what you got. Square footage. The land size 350 by 500. See, that's at 4 acres. No building, so you're basically just land value only. We scroll down. A person bought it for $19,000 on a quick claim deed many years ago. So just looking at their aerial here, this is an interesting piece of property because it's wet right here. I don't know if that's a piece of property I would invest in. Just kind of winging it. We do have space back here. I mean, obviously you can turn that into a pond or something. Just a matter of, can you find that buyer? Will you be able to find that buyer? That kind of stuff. Let's look at vacant sales in that area. Don't see a whole lot of anything going on in that area right now. Don't have any vacant comps. This is going to be the closest piece down here. What did that sell for? That sold for $33,000. I'm sorry, $55,000 in July of this year. And it's 1.4 acres, significantly smaller. So you can go off that number. I'd probably even go a little bit less, maybe $30,000. I'm not sure what the value was. Yeah, $5,500. Yeah, so you get it less than 10, you can make some money off that one. Let's do one more sale, one more parcel, and then we will we'll wrap it up here. Let's do any auctions November 18th. Let's see what we got here. All right, we've got $25,000 opening bid. That's probably in a situation where it's a homestead property, because in Florida, homestead properties, half the assessed value is going to be added to the opening bid, kind of gives a surplus to the person that lost their property. So that's why you have an elevated opening bid on that one. Let's look at this one in Panama City, 925 School Avenue. I'm assuming there's probably a school nearby. All right, we got that. We got this. We'll open this up. 0.18 acres. We got a building value. We got a land value. We got 1,360 square feet, 1,044 under air, 1963 built. Property sold in 2013 for $70,000. We got an aerial map right here. We're going to pull up, and we'll also pull up here. It looks like it's right across the street from something or another. Oh, all right. That's right across. Yep, there's our school. All right. So this property, it looks like it had damage of some sort. Obviously, this county is near the water, so you got to look out for hurricane damage, that kind of stuff. Just right off the bat, I see air conditionings. They do have some shingles here that never put on, but I do see air conditionings here and here. So means the HVAC that is in it probably does not work. This property is a $3,800 opening bid. You get it for that price. Obviously, you can make some money off of it. You need to make sure there's no code enforcement issues with this property. There's some junk there. The tarps might have been there too long. This is somebody you want to call the code enforcement on, and make sure you check everything. This is also 3 years ago, so there's a lot of time, especially a property that is in that condition. That's a lot of time between now and then for the property to deteriorate even more. But hopefully this exercise kind of gave you the idea of being able to invest in the smaller and the mid-sized markets. You don't have to invest in the biggest counties. You don't need to invest in Miami-Dade, Broward. I do have people in the Tax Sale Academy, in Tax Sale HQ, that invest in those counties. I actually got an email just the other day from somebody that bought a condo and did fantastic. They made a ton of money off this condo that was in Orlando, Osceola County, which is kind of high on this list, number 15 on this list. 468,000 people. I would consider that one of the bigger markets. Maybe you want to invest there. I've got students that invest in Orange County as well. So you don't have to invest in small to mid-sized markets. But personally, I find more success because there is a lower level of competition in the smaller to mid-sized markets like the ones that we just discussed. I think we went over Escambia County, Hernando, Citrus, and the last one, Bay County. So, counties that size tend to be the sweet spot, at least for me, at least in my experience. So hopefully that kind of helps you out. And obviously, for more information on tax investing, make sure you check us out at taxacademy.com. If you enjoy these long form videos, make sure you subscribe to us. We're going to be doing these quite a bit now. And also clicking that thumbs up button just to let us know. Hey, take care, folks. Bye-bye.